you are rushing down the field during kickoff, you watch the ball fly in the air and land in the other team's arms. Your teammate crushes the opponent and they lose the ball. Pick up the ball on the loose play, sprint down the field, touch down the ball, score the first try of the game. The sideline goes nuts as the home team takes the lead. Rugby is the oldest club sport here at Loyola University, and one of the most fast-paced games that is currently sweeping the nation. When analyzing the results I received from the surveys, more than half the class had little to no knowledge of the game of rugby. However, more than 60% of the class found football to be their favorite American sport. While the popular game of football is rooted in rugby, the ways in which the players pass the ball, scores points, or takes a penalty are all diverse in their own way. Over 80% of the class is interested in learning the rules of rugby, and because I've been playing on the rugby team here at Loyola for 4 years now, I look forward to teaching you the basics of how to play rugby. I've learned the rules of the game through practice and experience, and because of this, I feel that I can share with you the ins and outs of the sport and potential problems it faces due to injury. Overall, I look forward to sharing with you what makes the sport so fascinating to play and exactly how to play it. Two teams play each other, consisting of 15 players per team, 8 forwards and 7 backs. Two teams compete for two 40-minute halves with a 5-minute halftime, making it an 80-minute match. The forwards are the bigger players on the team, do most of the tackling and rucking, and I'll explain what rucking is. Backs have similar relative strength in comparison with the forwards, but run faster over ground and produce significantly greater relative horizontal force and power when sprinting. While the forwards do the majority of the tackling and rough play, the backs are a lot quicker and are able to break the defensive line for further field position. The scrum half is the number 9 on the screen. While there are 8 forwards, the 9th man from the forwards is the scrum half, who passes the ball to the fly half, who is number 10, and distributes the ball to the rest of the back line. The scrum half is often compared to the quarterback of the rugby field, as he should be able to read the field and determine the best place to run and how to prepare on defense. While football tends to have 3 or 4 referees, there's only one referee who controls the entire field. There are 2 touch judges who determine where the ball goes out of bounds. Each team is allowed to make 6 substitutions in a match. A 7th substitution is allowed only if a player is injured, and once a player is substituted, he can't come back into the game. The game begins with a kickoff at center field. The ball must travel at least 10 meters on the kick, or there is a penalty. Typically, the player receiving the kick will jump in the air in order to protect himself from being injured and have a better chance of catching the ball. When you gain possession, the team can carry, pass, or kick the ball in order to score points. Try is scored when a player touches the ball down in the opponent's try zone. The touchdown in football is named after rugby's try, as you literally have to touch the ball down in rugby. You receive 5 points for scoring a try and are then given an opportunity to kick a conversion, which would give you 2 more additional points if you can kick it through the uprights. The ball must be kicked from a line that is perpendicular to where the ball is placed down in the try zone for the conversion kick. During the game, players are moving forward to try to score, however, you are not allowed to pass the ball forward at any time, which makes it significantly different than football. The players that are running behind the ball carrier should be sprinting so that if they receive a pass from the ball carrier, they can explode through the defensive line and have significantly greater chances of scoring a try. In team sports, the ball carrier's actions are closely linked to the interpersonal distance to the defender. Interpersonal distances are characterized as critical regions where players' behaviors are constrained by a contextual dependency. In other words, whether a player decides to pass the ball is dependent upon whether there's a defender right in their way. So if you're going to pass the ball, usually there's going to be a defender right in your way. If not, the player with the ball can score every time before the defense arrives. Over the course of the game, players experience fatigue and display pacing strategies to permit the completion of the game while remaining in reasonable condition. Because the game is continuously moving, players can become fatigued very easily. In football, players have multiple chances to stop and catch their breath. That is why it is important to have significant fitness training throughout practice sessions and why substitutions must be made strategically in this sport. When a player is tackled, a ruck is formed. A ruck is essentially when 2 players from opposing teams are fighting on top of the tackled player. The ruck is over when the ball is out of the ruck, and the scrum half can properly distribute the ball to the rest of the backs. Here's an example of what a ruck would look like. If a team successfully counter-rucks, they can steal a ball from the tackle player and carry out their offensive play through service provided by the scrum half. Alison Pollock, professor of public health research and policy at Queen Mary University of London, said that the government should act to make rugby in schools a non-contact sport. 3/4 of injuries occur in contact, i.e. collision, and 2/3 of concussions occur in the tackle. Many of the injuries are severe. A lot of the time when a player's tackled or is blindsided by the defense, injuries occur. Sometimes the player does not want to be substituted. Players tend to fight through injury more often. While the game of rugby is becoming more and more global, its biggest fear among parents and administrators is that it is dangerous. Because there are no pads allowed in the game, the biggest fear is increased concussions. It is important to play by the rules and tackle properly in order to avoid significant head injuries. One rule that was implemented into the sport is that you cannot hit a player while he is in the air, and you must bring him to the ground. This prevents players just running through defenseless players and must securely wrap them and bring them to ground. When there is a minor infraction, the referee will typically request a scrum. The scrum is when 8 forwards engage the opposing team's 8 forwards. There are the 3 biggest forwards in the front, who are 2 props on either side, and 1 hooker in the middle, who literally hooks the ball to the back. There are 2 second row players behind the front 3 who give the push to the whole front 3 line. Then there are 2 flankers on either side of the second rows and the 8 man in the back who's securing the ball. Ball is rolled down the middle and each team pushes until the ball makes it to one end or the other. The point of the scrum is to restart play after minor infractions are committed. When the ball goes out of bounds, a line-out is demanded by the referee. Both teams' pack of forwards line up opposite each other, forming a tunnel of sorts. Depending on who pushed the ball out of bounds, the team's hooker will typically be the one to throw the ball down the tunnel. The forwards will lift either second row player of the team into the air in order to contest for possession of the ball. Remember how I said that you cannot hit a player while he's in the air? The idea for the line-out is that as long as the lifted player remains in the air, he can contest for possession all he wants and even pass the ball, and he can't be hit by any other opposing players. While there is no formal rule book to rugby, there are some specific laws that are common. When a tackle is made, the tackler must release the tackle player, who places the ball on the ground in order for the team to play the ball, or form a ruck if necessary. Advantage is given by the referee, and it's basically when one team makes an error, the other team can try to capitalize on it, instead of the referee immediately stopping play. If the advantage isn't used, play restarts where the original mistake took place. Offsides occurs in multiple scenarios, but in a nutshell, players cannot be involved in the play if they are in front of a teammate who last played the ball, or behind the ball when opposing team has possession. Common penalties such as high tackle or playing the person are simple concepts, while terms like knock on or not releasing are a bit more complicated. So here's a line out. Then you go to touches it down. This would be what a knock-on looks like. If the player basically gets hit with the ball and the ball moves forward, the ball can't move forward at all. It has to always go backwards. So if the ball goes forward on a knock-on, there's usually a scrum called by the referee. Not releasing is when the tackle player does not let go of the ball. This would typically happen when the tackle occurs when other players are not immediately there, and the tackler tries to poach the ball or steal it before the ruck is formed. The tackle player may hold on just a few seconds too long before the referee blows his whistle. Hopefully by knowing the common mistakes, you can play this game with more ease and fluidity without having to stop constantly for penalty plays. Knowing how to advance the ball effectively, how to tackle, how to properly ruck, will all be crucial to passing the ball between forwards and backs. Communication is key in the sport, and by effectively communicating the objective on the field, each teammate can execute accordingly and win the match as a team. While the game of rugby has been modified throughout the past centuries, rule changes seem to have maintained their trend. Concern about modifying game conditions has increased in the last 2 decades. Modifying the rules is a common way to change game conditions. Rules provide the unique differentiating character of the game, and they specify the requirements of game action. Overall, the rules of rugby and its style of play are extremely similar to that of American football because it is rooted in rugby. Aside from being able to pass the ball forward, the non-stop tackling and continuous play, rugby is the true root of American football. While we learn how the kickoff works, how players are tackled, some common mistakes that are made, and how players score the ball, the difference between this sport and all the others is the mutual respect for your opponent that is always shared after the match. The bond teammates have is just as strong as it is for an opponent after a game. In summation, rugby is one of the most intense sports that is sweeping the nation today, and while it may seem dangerous to some, it is an exhilarating thrill to those who play. Any questions?
In your first slide, you had like the format.
Yeah.
Does it kind of switch from side to side, or is it always kind of the back is on that right side?
Yeah, no, it goes both ways.
It goes both.
Yeah, because that's like the positions for the scrum. So if the scrum is called on the other side of the field, the backs would line up the other way.
So it alternates based on the need.
Does the guy who scores the try have to be the one who picks the...
No. The conversion kicker can be anybody on the team. Yeah, it's usually just the best kicker. The wing or something.
What position do you play?
I'm a prop. Number 3. Any other questions? Thanks.